What do you do when your car mechanic hands you a bill that makes your knees buckle? I'll tell you what I would do and what I have done. And in this video, I'm going to share some ideas with you on how to avoid throwing good money after bad. So I would use the 40% rule. And I know that sounds pretty simple, but people like us, old fogies like me, we don't like to spend a lot of money. So it's easier for us to know whether or not something that we own is worth fixing or just tossing. But there's not a lot of people that understand what's happening in the car market today. So when you bring your car in and it's making that noise or the check engine light is on and the mechanic hands you that bill, you better be prepared. You better have a strategy. So the 40% rule, pretty straightforward. If the price of that repair is greater than 40% of the value of the car, chances are good you shouldn't write that check. So how do you determine what the value of your car is? Well, right here on this on the page right now, you'll see Kelley Blue Book. It's now Edmunds.com. But I'd recommend that you go, if you're driving, first of all, let's set the stage. If you're driving an old car, I'm driving a 10-year-old car with 180,000 miles on it. I am the type of guy that says, I'm going to drive this thing until the wheels fall off. But Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds.com will give you an opportunity to find out what the value of your car is. Whether you're going to try to trade it, where you're going to wholesale it, or you're going to sell it outright. You can do it by the VIN number, which is the vehicle identification number, or you can put your own license tag in there and it'll pull up your car. It's pretty freaky. And it asks you a couple of questions about the conditions of the car. Be honest. If you're not honest, you're not going to get a fair number. And something that I have to tell you right now, don't be emotionally attached to your car. I am, and I'm trying to make sure that I detach myself from the emotion of the car. It's not a pet. I get emotionally attached to pets. But when you've got a car that's 10 years old and you've had it for a long time and you've pretty much put all the miles on it, you kind of get emotionally attached to it. I'll actually share with you a video that I did early on about my very first car. And if you're like me, you probably named your car, but I digress. So here's the deal. Have a strategy. And what should that strategy be? First of all, find out what the value of the car is. Because here's the thing. If you don't know what the value of your car is, you're going to do what I've done in the past. You're going to make a gut decision. You're going to look at your car and you're going to look at the bill and you make a decision right then and there whether or not it's worth replacing. So if you don't have that ground rule of what the car is worth and how much you should spend, you'll be like me. And it's happened to me twice. Not once, but twice. I had a 1990 Volvo that I put 190,000 miles on, just replaced the tires and the brakes. This is a number of years ago. And all of a sudden, things just wouldn't run very well. Brought it to the mechanic. Mechanic did the analysis, came back with a $4,000 repair bill because he needed to replace the engine. Car wasn't worth $4,000. I handed him the keys. Second thing that happened, I had a 1999 Grand Marquis. I think I told you about this car. Same thing. Thing was running beautifully, had just put tires on it, and all of a sudden it started leaking water. I'm like, oh, that can't be good. Brought it into the mechanic. He says, your block is cracked, and it's $1,500 to replace. Didn't have the money. Donated the car. See what I'm saying? In both of those cases, especially the Grand Marquis, man, I love that car. Big old 8-cylinder. I should have known better. I should have found the money to replace to repair it because I think it would still be running today. But if you don't understand what I'm saying, then you're going to make the same mistake I did. You may have given away a car that's worth saving without knowing it. And in both those cases, I was afraid not just to pay the bill to fix the car, I was afraid of what was called ghost repairs or ghost expenses. And I'll put that up on the screen now. These are expenses that could happen 3-4 months down the road that you need to take care of. So you add what you paid to have the car put back on the road, then a few months down the road, you have another problem. That's the part that's very hard for any of us to understand. But once the mechanic takes a look at it, maybe they'll give you an idea, but here's what you're not ready for. The mechanic is not going to give you advice. Unless this is a family friend or somebody you know really, really well, the mechanic is not going to say to you, I think you should hold on to this car, pump the money into it, and you'll be happy. You know why they won't do that? Because they sound like they have skin in the game. They want you to pay them to fix the car. They may have the best intentions in the world and think this is the right decision for you, But as I said, unless they are a family friend or somebody you've trusted for years, they're just going to hand you the bill and say, hey, what do you want to do? So you're probably saying, all right, that's great. I understand the 40% rule, but what do I do? Well, this is what you do. This is what I do. So I'm not telling you to do something I don't already do. Is estimate the number of miles that you're going to travel over 12 months, right? Let's say you do 12,000 miles a year, 1,000 miles a month. It's 250, roughly 250 miles a week. So that's 12,000. How long are you going to continue to do that? I'm going to estimate another 5 years, right? Traveling back and forth. So that's 12 times 5. That's 60,000 miles. Will the repair that you're contemplating get you to another 60,000 miles? That's really the question. And that's assuming that you're already doing the standard maintenance, which is tires, brakes, and all the things that keep the car going, oil changes. Make sure you do oil changes. Will the repair that needs to be done help you get another 5 years out of the car or 60,000 miles? So you've got two things, and I hope this makes sense to you, is you got the 40% rule, and then you've got the ability to take a look at your own driving habits, whether or not you think the way you drive and how many miles you put on will actually come to fruition with this repair. Once you've got those two things pretty much settled, the decision should be pretty easy. But what if it's not? What do you do next? So you're smart, right? You don't have an extra 50, 60, 70 grand laying around to buy a new car, I'm assuming, because most people don't. If you do, God bless you, do what you need to do. What you're going to do now is you're going to start thinking about putting money aside. If you haven't already done that, please start doing that. Putting money aside so that you can pay cash for a good used car. And the question then becomes, where do I find a good used car? Well, first of all, go back to what I said about determining how many miles you drive. If you drive 50,000 miles a year or 10,000 miles a year, then figure out how many years you think you'll be continuing to do that. 5 is a good number, right? I'm going to be 64 years old. I'm going to probably continue to do the same amount of driving. When I get to be 70 plus, I think the bud has fallen off the rose. I won't like to drive as much as I do now. So as I'm looking to replace the car I have, and it won't be that long, I don't believe it'll be any longer than a year, I'm starting to look for used cars that have lower 100,000 miles. And you may say, what are you talking about? Why would you buy another car with 100,000 miles on it? Well, two reasons. One is most likely it's an older car. And I'm absolutely fine with buying a car that's 15 to 20 years old that has 120,000 miles on it. Because if it's a 20-year-old car and it's got 100,000 miles on it, you can do the math. It has not been driven much. If it's a 15-year-old car with 150,000 miles on it, it's been driven 10,000 miles a year. That's not a lot. So yes, the model year may be older and the mileage might be higher. Don't let that freak you out. That's where you're going to be able to buy a good used car for cash for less than $10,000, dare I say, less than $8,000 or $9,000. That's your mindset. That's what I want you to start thinking about, because if you do something like buy a brand new car right now, let's say a 2026 model, I don't advocate that. I just think these things are computers on wheels that you and I grew up in an era where we could fix our own cars. Man, I open the hood of these new cars, I don't even know where. I don't even know what I'm looking at, let alone find, if I need to do something, how to start. So you're almost forced to bring it to a dealer. The dealer will just hook it to a computer. The computer will tell them what sensors need to be replaced. I'm not a big fan of today's cars. I am not. And in the comments, if you're driving an older car and you feel the same way I do, please let me know what you're driving, how many miles you have, or contrarily, if there's such a word as contrarily, if you think I'm full of cookies, tell me. You just bought a brand new car for 70 or 80 grand and you know it's going to last 200,000. I need to hear both sides. As you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about one side. I'm passionate about people like you and I paying cash for our cars, not being afraid to buy a car with what we used to consider high mileage. I tell the younger kids that I talk to about buying cars of a certain vintage, 15 plus years ago when they were made to be driven. You don't try to save miles in a car like that. I just don't believe that cars today are made to be driven. I think they're made to be replaced. Obsolescence, that's the key. If you would disagree, let me know. So let me just tell you this. I have over 30 years experience in the financial services industry, and when I ran my own independent investment advisory firm, I would sit with my clients and have this discussion. Write it out on a piece of paper. I would even, and as I shared with you in another video, go to a dealership with a client to help them negotiate or find a used car. So if your advisor is not having this conversation with you right now, I encourage you to find another advisor. And please go to my website, popsyguy.com, and download a sample advisor suitability audit. But even better than that, don't even worry about that. Just click the link in the description and get a free Advisor Truth Kit. What that does is that empowers you on if you're planning to hire a financial advisor or change financial advisors. It empowers you and gives you a strategy on how to interview so that you choose the right financial advisor for your situation. So either way, what I'm going to do is put this video up because it's my first car. And I want you to tell me, what was your first car? Do you remember what it was, what year it was, how many miles it had? Give me as much detail as you can. I love to reminisce about older cars, and I need people like you to help keep that memory going. Have a great day.